The Minnesota Vikings got blown out by the Detroit Lions 31-9. But in reality, the score, the game, the result was not indicative of just how competitive this game was. And I want to double down on something that I slightly mentioned the other day, because I don't think we are recognizing just how valuable a loss like that was to the Detroit Lions before the games really matter. This was essentially a playoff game in the final regular season game of the season. The stakes were high versus the Detroit Lions because they were competing for the number one seed in the NFC, home field advantage throughout the playoffs. That matters. But I want to say this again. The loss to the Detroit Lions provides invaluable experience for the Minnesota Vikings before they start their playoff journey. I would rather have the Minnesota Vikings choke against the Detroit Lions in week 18 of the regular season and have a playoff atmosphere-like experience than host a home playoff game, be juiced up like they were in week 18, have that adrenaline, and then have a massive choke job in the second round of the playoffs at US Bank Stadium. So, Sam Darnold was awful. He had countless throws that he missed to Jefferson and Addison and Naylor, and I'm going to show examples of that in a little bit. His percentage was awful. The offensive line was not holding up to the standards that they were holding up to earlier in the season. The Detroit Lions were sending cover zero blitzes almost the entire game. Sam Darnold had a season high 15 pressures. So there's things that needed to be corrected. But I think we are not recognizing just how fortunate we are as Minnesota Vikings fans. I don't think we realize how fortunate the Minnesota Vikings organization was to have a playoff-like experience in a regular season game. The stakes were high, but it's not the end of the season. Could you imagine if the Minnesota Vikings defeated the Lions? They win by a field goal or whatever it is. They go into their first home playoff game at US Bank Stadium. Darnold is juiced like he was against the Lions and completely collapses in the first round. Because this was not, he missed an open guy here, he missed an open guy here, which did happen. He missed Jefferson wide open. He missed Hawkinson wide open. But this was more of a case of Darnold not even attempting a throw to several wide open wide receivers down the field. The wide receivers were open. The wide receivers were executing their routes. Kevin O'Connell's play design was brilliant, but Sam Darnold would not throw them the football. And someone who does an amazing job of analyzing this and really breaking it down is Dan Orlovsky of ESPN. And he went on Get Up ESPN and highlighted several of the throws that Sam Darnold, it's not that he missed these throws, he wasn't even attempting the throw. And the wide receiver is running wide open.
Quarterback 14 times, you're going to bring him back down to earth. You mentioned some of those misses. Sam Darnold hasn't missed that all season long. I thought he missed 5 touchdowns last night. Look at this. So he's going to throw a post. This is one of those all-out zero blitzes. But look at the bottom of the screen, the corner. He's butt naked open. He throws that corner route, which is something I've seen him do a ton of times this year. That's a touchdown, but he launches the post. That's a missed opportunity. Down in the red zone, I want you guys to watch up top. There's that Addison one. That's a rub route versus man coverage. For some reason, his eyes get off it so quickly, and that's a throwaway. That's 2 touchdowns that are easily executed if you're not used to getting hit. There's going to be another opportunity down in the red zone. This is the double move versus zero pressure. Jefferson's going to win. Sam, if he just floats this ball to the pylon instead of kind of firming it, that's a touchdown. So I've got two missed kind of reads and a missed throw. Now watch the very top of the screen. Right now, there's another rub route versus man coverage. That safety's pinned in the middle. Sam Darnold doesn't throw it. And I do think that this is more attributed to him just getting hit so much that his eyes started to go all over the place and get sped up rather than playing in a calmer sense.
Dan Orlovsky just provided countless examples of Sam Darnold not even throwing the football in the direction of the wide receiver that was wide open. And in most of those situations, Darnold was actually looking at the wide receiver, and he was not delivering the ball. He was not executing. And Sam Darnold, following this game, mentioned that in his post-game press conference when he was interviewed by the reporters there. Darnold didn't hit the throws I should hit in the red zone, didn't execute. Going down in the red zone and kicking field goals, that's not going to cut it against a team like that. It wasn't even that they kicked field goals. The 2 fourth down conversions that they failed on, receivers were wide open. Receivers were wide open. Now, kick 3 field goals, score 2 touchdowns. That's 23 points. Field goals lose you football games because when you can't execute and get your butt in the end zone, you're forfeiting 4 points every single time. And the Minnesota Vikings forfeited 4 points in scoring territory when they sent out Will Reichert to kick a field goal. And Sam Darnold forfeited 14 more points on 4th down conversions when he did not deliver the football to wide open wide receivers. So there's no doubt that Darnold was terrible in this game. And this is one of his worst NFL games of the season. It reminded me of the Jacksonville Jaguars game, but it was a little different too, because in Jacksonville, Darnold had tunnel vision towards Jefferson. And after that game, things changed significantly because then he started throwing to Addison and throwing to Hockenson and throwing to guys more often. This game was different. He was looking at Addison. He was looking at other wide receivers. He just wouldn't deliver the football. And Orlovsky's theory was that Sam Darnold was hit so much that his eyes were going like this and he just couldn't focus and he was all scatterbrained out on the football field. And I want to push back against that a little bit because my theory would be if you're getting hit so much and you don't want to get hit again, then throw the football. Wouldn't you want to get rid of the football sooner if you're getting hit as often as Sam Darnold was getting hit on Sunday Night Football against the Detroit Lions? If you're getting pressured and you're getting knocked down as often as Darnold was, my theory goes you're going to get rid of the ball sooner than you probably should because you don't want to get hit again. That was not the case. Darnold was holding on to the football and holding on to the football way too long as guys were being schemed wide open down the field, being schemed wide open in the red zone. But going back to my original point, I would rather have the Vikings choke in a playoff-like atmosphere in Week 18 and take that experience going into the playoffs than get a bye week and choke round 2 first home game against whomever. So as bad as the performance was, the score did not reflect just how competitive this game was. And, give credit to the Lions for their pass rush and doing those things. But a lot of the missed opportunities were because Sam Darnold did not throw the football. So you can credit the Lions all you want, but my goodness, if Darnold connects on some of these wide open wide receivers, if he just throws the ball, then the Minnesota Vikings are right in this game. And it probably comes down to the wire. So lots of things to improve upon. But the good news is that the Vikings have the time to improve them. They're not going into the playoffs on a hot streak and then Darnold freezes like a deer in headlights in round 2 at US Bank Stadium. They have time to correct their mistakes. This was a big benefit for the Minnesota Vikings, despite not looking like it on paper, despite the score not reflecting it. There are a lot of positive takeaways the Minnesota Vikings can take from this game. You know, they lost by 22, but you look at the game tape, Darnold makes this throw, Darnold makes this throw. They're right in the game. So we'll see. We'll see if the Minnesota Vikings can make that switch, that adjustment against the Los Angeles Rams. Right now, the lines are indicating the Minnesota Vikings to be slight favorites. So that should be interesting as the game gets closer to see how that line changes. But the fact that we're favorites right now is a good sign as they get ready to go to Los Angeles and play on Monday Night Football. So last week they played Sunday Night Football. This week they played Monday Night Football. The schedule sucks. I hate that. I hate waiting for Sunday night. I hate waiting for Monday night. Give me a 12 o'clock start. But regardless, it's actually a good thing for the Vikings' perspective because then they have an extra day to rest and recover and game plan accordingly for the Los Angeles Rams. And it doesn't take that big of an adjustment. It's not like you need to change the scheme or change the plays or change much. The adjustment is Darnold throws the football. The adjustment is wide receiver wide open. Darnold throws the football, doesn't hang on to it, and try to make something else happen. Because it's not like he was looking to the left and the guy's running wide open to the right. He was looking to the right as the receiver is running wide open to the right, and he would just not throw the ball. So adjustments needed, but adjustments that can be fixed pretty simply. So lots of positives, and as far as I'm concerned, it's a big break for the Minnesota Vikings, despite their loss against the Detroit Lions, because it happened when it happened. It happened when it happened, and that's a good thing. Thank you for watching this episode. Thank you for going on this podcasting journey with me. Hit that subscribe button wherever you are watching or listening to this episode. Tell your friends, tell your family, and most of all, I appreciate you.